remember like very specifically one person said to me once that, they felt as though like there was something wrong with them because everyone around them had like these beliefs and everything. And the crazy thing is that's literally like what the lyrics in like Heartless are. And like
Wow.
Heartless hadn't come
So
out
they
yet. We
connect
never
in a
played
way.
it, so it's like holy crap, like you're hearing this and then like you're telling me like it's not like it's all connected and it's like the people who like feel like that really like resonate with these songs and to me like that's really cool.
Today on the show, we are joined with John of Napoleon. Napoleon is a Toronto metalcore act, and right now they released a brand new EP titled Dear God that you can check out on all streaming platforms. And what we really love about this EP is it's such a strong concept from the message to the lyrics, and you're going to hear all about that in this interview. But first, we're going to kick it off with John telling us about the band's origin story and how they evolved into their sound.
So I started this band when I was like 16 or 17, like when I was still in high school. Um, Me and the drummer Aton were the only two original members still, and we met in high school and everything. We made the band there. We started off definitely not being like that kind of like a metalcore, post-hardcore kind of band. We were definitely more of like an alternative rock kind of thing. But as like the band went on, we started like writing more and more aggressive music with like more like screaming and stuff like that. And we definitely noticed that the songs that we had that were like more aggressive and like the more screaming and stuff that there was in the song, the better the songs seemed to do for us. And we enjoy playing those songs more. We find they go off better live and stuff like that. So when we started doing this new record, we actually talked about it. We said, well, what direction do we want to go in? It seems like this is like what we enjoy doing. This is what people seem to want from us. Maybe that's really just the kind of band we are.
Mm-hmm.
And well, we decided to run with it, and I think I like personally, I'm really happy with the results. I think these are the best songs we've ever put out. We've played all of them live at some point now, and everyone seems to think that like they're better than the stuff that we had before. So I'm really stoked on it.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's cool also to hear like as a creator, you just kind of going with the flow and like that's kind of like the natural energy and like even like whether it's within yourself and also the feedback of the crowd, it's kind of cool that I know it's like sometimes people like they kind of lock into like this vision and they don't like change it, but it's cool that you're morphing into like and evolving as like a band and a writer and everything. And is it like do you get like some certain like catharticness out of like writing like these type of aggressive songs? Like, does it feel good to play live and like just release that kind of energy?
Um, I guess, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I never really thought about that.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, cool.
like that's just the kind of music I listen to, right? So like
Yeah.
that's just like what I like. Like like I like going to like shows. I like seeing like the energy and stuff, and like I just want to do that, and I want to have those kinds of like I want to have that kind of energy like at a Napoleon show and whatnot. So like I guess yeah.
Yeah, right on, right on. Yeah, that's cool
When
that
we
you're
like when we
just
finish a show, like we're all like wiped, like we're exhausted.
yeah. No, that's cool. It
Yeah.
feels like you're just doing what's natural to you too. And even I kind of went on your Spotify and went back to like your earlier recordings too. And was that when the band started? I think I saw like it was like 2020 or 2021. Was it did you like start making Napoleon music like over the pandemic?
Not quite.
Yeah.
So yeah, you are right. Like the furthest back you can go on Spotify is 2020, I believe. I think the oldest song on there is a song called Amends, which if you do listen to that, I think that's the prime example of what I'm talking about. Like there's no screaming, there's nothing there. Like that's just
Yeah.
like, straight like alt rock kind of thing. But what happened, so the band formed in like 2018. And we started recording like pretty quickly actually. But again, we were in high school, like we didn't have jobs or anything. So like I think we like, recorded like an EP for like $500 or $600.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, the results were $500 or $600 worth. They weren't great, and on top of that, like I barely knew how to sing at that point. Like actually, it's quite bad. Like I look back at it now, like I look back at like videos of our first shows and stuff. It's like what was I thinking? Um, obviously I've taken like lessons and stuff. Like I've worked to like improve to make sure like I'm competent now. But like I definitely wasn't at the time. So like those songs are like truly atrocious. So we pulled them back because we're like, I don't want people like coming to our spot, like finding us like on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, and that being like their impression of us. Like that would suck.
Yeah.
But it's actually a good chunk of those songs we actually have re-recorded and are on Spotify now. So like Amends is not one of them, but there's a song called Deal with the Devil, a song called Formaldehyde, and a song called Left to Die. All of those are like older songs that we like re-recorded because we really like them. We wanted to like keep them like in the set and stuff. But we want we wanted to have a better version of them.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's cool, like I relate to that, like doing like interviews and podcasting too. It's like your first stuff is like maybe at the time you're like, oh, this is the best. And then you look back at it and you're like kind of like cringe a bit and everything.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like
And
it's part of like growth, but like it's like
oh yeah, it's part of the process, you know?
yeah, it's
Like,
funny because like I used to think we were like the best.
yeah.
I couldn't understand why why we weren't picking up traction. I was like, we're the best. Like we're awesome. Like we're incredible. And then now I look at it, I'm like, holy, like how did I like stand in front of people and do that?
Yeah, but at the same time, there's like something awesome about like just doing that too as well. Like because I find like a lot of like different creatives they kind of gravitate to these segments and like maybe even ask like questions like, oh, how do I start doing this? Like whether it being like a filmmaker or a musician or comedian or whatever. And you just got to do it and you're gonna eat shit, but it's all
Yeah.
part of the
Oh, dude,
process too, you
100%.
know?
Like,
And it's just like the best lessons, a good mistake sometimes as well.
yeah, 100%. It's funny, man. Like just as like a side hustle thing, like here in Toronto, I book like local shows.
Cool, cool.
And like a big thing for me is I always try to give bands their first show. Cause like I remember like back like in the day, especially like when we were like under where are you from?
I live in Toronto right now,
Oh,
so
so
like
like, yeah, so
I'm
you know,
from
like
Ontario as well. Yeah.
yeah, oh, very nice. So like when we were like under 19, it was impossible to find shows. So my big thing is I try to book like all ages shows and I try to bring like those high school bands. So like they have a place to play and like they do it. But something like I find like kind of upsetting about it is like all the time, like they always come to me like after the show when I like go to pay them out. They're like, man, I'm sorry we sucked. I'm like, dude, like
Oh yeah, yeah.
sure it wasn't perfect. Like I hear you. Like fine, your guitar was out of tune, fine. Like you screwed up, you have to restart a part here. But like who cares, man? Like you did it. Like some
Yeah.
of them like, are like, I think we were in like me and Aton were in like grade 12 when we started. Some of these bands I'm having are like in grade 9. Like, I wish I started when we were like that young. I wish we had that extra 3 years to like
Hmm.
learn and grow, right? And it's cool because like I see some bands where like I give them their first show and then now like 2, 3 years later, I see them like starting to do like really well. And they like it's kind of cool to like watch them grow. It's like, yeah, like that's awesome, man. But
Yeah,
like no one's good on the first go through. Like no
yeah.
one that like it never happens.
Yeah, it's so dope to hear that you're like a promoter as well too, and especially like you mentioned, like giving people their first show too, because even like you having a handful of years perspective, and even like you mentioned, them coming off stage and maybe feeling down on themselves, it's just like you can just tell them it's like keep going type of thing, or even have like all these different angles of like
Yeah, 100%. I like
what happens
it,
when you don't quit, you know, like you may start getting awesome at it.
yeah, I always try, especially like if they feel like really like if they feel like really shitty after, I always try to like before they leave, I try to book them again.
Yeah, yeah.
Try to like work out a new date with them and like I'll work like with the venue I'm at and stuff and we'll
Mhm. Even I think what's cool about Toronto specifically now, like you can go to like all these different venues, whether it's like a Bovine or a Houndstooth or Hard Luck too, and it seems like there's this whole resurgence of like whether it's like punk, hardcore, grunge, like there's like a lot of like younger dudes just like playing all these types of songs, and it's funny because like I'm an older guy, like I'm like my late 30s or whatever, and there's a lot of people around my age who are maybe like only like getting exposed to like what's popular on the radio too. And they say to me, oh, people don't make music like this anymore. And I'm like, yeah, they actually do. You just gotta go to like one of these clubs and it's like young people like just kind of resurging like all this type of music. And why do you think there's like that kind of energy right now in the city for like rock and bands and stuff?
Hmm.
Do you think it's like almost like a collective, everybody just kind of like inspiring each other and helping each other?
I don't know, to be honest with you, man.
Hmm.
It's tough to say because when see, it's funny you say that, but I also find we struggle to find bands to play with that
Ah,
have
okay.
the same sound as us, because I feel like there aren't that like there are lots of like really good bands in Toronto. Like I agree with that, but like it's sometimes tough because like there aren't like enough where it's like there's always tons available and there's always tons of options, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like now because like I feel like at the risk of sounding like conceited, like I feel like now our band is doing a bit better than we
Mhm.
were like a couple of years ago. So now it's a bit easier for us to be like, hey, you want to come play the show with us? Like we just booked like the record release show at Sneaky D's, right? And we were
Mhm.
talking about the lineup, and we pretty much ended up with our first choice because all the bands we offered, well, they like to be frank, they all dropped their commitments to do the show. Which I mean, it's cool. Like, and I'm stoked that we have like a crazy cool lineup, but like at the same time, it wasn't always like that, right? Like
Mhm.
we did like even like a year ago, we did like a 5 year anniversary show at Hard Luck. And there were a lot of bands we asked to do it and they weren't available.
Oh, damn. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure like you being like on the ground level of everything too, like you do see like a lot of like the same bands and maybe they don't want to all play together, but at the
Yeah, because
same
how many
time,
times? Well, that's another
yeah.
big thing. It's like a big thing about that show that I was telling about the one at Sneaky D's. One thing we said from the get-go is we want bands that we've never played with.
Mm,
And that was difficult. Like it wasn't really that easy to like find like three like similar sounding bands that we've never played with.
hmm.
We got like we're really lucky. We have an incredible lineup of each band has like people that we know personally, which is really cool. And we're like really stoked on that. And I do believe they are like some of the best bands in the city. Actually, I'm gonna give a quick shout out. We have the
Yeah.
Fractured, Jennifer, and Conversation on that show.
That show that was just mentioned happened last week, and we want to send a big congratulations to John and the band because it was completely sold out. I was thinking of going. I saw on their social media that they sold the place out, and that's so awesome. And also, before we get into the rest of this interview, I want to let you know that Napoleon's brand new EP, Dear God, is out now. You can stream it everywhere. Definitely recommend checking it out. And right now, as we dive back into this interview, you're going to hear all about it and some of the heavy subject matter that John felt a bit vulnerable to put out. And here's how that all came to be.
It's difficult for me because like I'm the main songwriter of the band. Like I write the songs pretty much by myself. And that's just because like that's just like how I work. Like I've tried to be more collaborative and like just the way like my mind works. I like plug in and like I have to like just do it and go from like point A to point B. I like every time I write a song, I like finish it in one go. It's like I just do it. I hear the similarities because like I wrote them at the same time, so like I can kind of hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Lyrically, they're all kind of similar too. Like they all sort of deal with like the same themes of like, religion and lack of faith and all that. Yeah. There's 4 songs on the EP.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah. One I really like too is Help Me. It kind of reminded me a lot of like just kind of the vibe. It reminded me of the band Darkest Hour. I don't know if you listen to them at
Oh
all.
yeah. I just
Yeah.
saw them in Toronto a couple weeks ago, actually.
Oh, fire. Yeah, I'm disappointed I missed that. That wasn't
Yeah.
on my radar. I love them, but
Yeah, no, they're awesome. I really like that band.
yeah,
Oh, thank you,
just
man.
yeah,
Appreciate that.
just kind of like how it was like structured and even like I really loved the ending. It was I felt like it was very powerful and like it kind of like unique. It like ended with like a sample type of thing going on as well, right?
Yeah, we've never done anything like that. It really is. We've been playing that song like live for like over a year now. I think we threw it in this. It's. I think we threw it in like the set like last March or something, and we just haven't taken it out. Like it's just been like every like tour, we're like, yeah, we just gotta play it now. It's like people love it when we play it.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's also like it's a really like powerful song like, for me. So I always talk about like what it means and stuff like before we play it, which is not something I've ever done before.
Oh, interesting.
It's pretty cool because like I've never really like considered like the impact like what I'm actually singing about could have on people. And it's been really cool to see like how like after we play like that song, like like I sell like after like we play, I go and I sell our merch, right? So like it's happened a lot, like where we've done like supporting shows and like we're playing like to like brand new people and stuff, where like people have come up to me after, just to tell me like, yo, I really like the message of that song. I think that was really cool. Or like the song's like about like it's about like how like I believe there are people who who they use their religion as an excuse to
Mm,
be bad and like be like awful things like racist or homophobic or anything like that. And they say, "Oh, it's okay because I'm doing it in like the eyes of God." And like in the eyes of God, I'm good. It's like, well, not really, man. Like just because I
mhm.
go to church every Sunday or whatever, like you're still a piece of shit, right?
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
real thing too. And yeah,
Yeah. Oh, it is a real thing. And the story is like this. The song's actually like it's a true story about someone I know who like I kind of just saw him like go
hmm
down this like horrible spiral, and like it was crazy because like he would be like awful, 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 but he'd keep saying, "Oh, it's okay," because like I come from a Jewish family, and like he was Jewish too, and he'd say to me a lot like, "Oh, well, you don't keep kosher, so like I'm like this and I'm that." I'm like, dude, like
like he's higher
you
than you.
you are you're an awful person. Like I'm sorry. Like I don't believe in God, but like if God did, if I'm gonna say like I do believe in God, like I bet you God will look down on someone like you, just because you follow like every word in like his like stupid fucking book. Like you're
hmm
still an awful person, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And a lot of people like, and I tell that, like I say that on stage, and like I know like that for some people that can be like a divisive message, which was a risk for us. Like I was aware of that. But I'm happy we took it because it's the first time ever that I've consistently seen people coming up to me and telling me, I really resonate with what you're saying. And they'll tell me these stories about how like they come from like religious families and like horrible things like that people have said to them because they maybe don't share the same beliefs as their parents or like the people around them and stuff. And they say, yeah, it's really cool because like they'll say things to me like I remember like very specifically one person said to me once that they felt as though like there was something wrong with them because everyone around them had like these beliefs and everything. And the crazy thing is that's literally like what the lyrics in like Heartless are. And like
Wow.
Heartless hadn't come
So
out
they
yet. We
connect
never
in a
played
way.
it, so it's like holy crap! Like you're hearing this, and then like you're telling me like it's nuts. Like it's all connected, and it's like the people who like feel like that really like resonate with these songs, and to me like that's really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome that you're getting that feedback too, because obviously you're just speaking your truth. And I feel like there's so many different bands or artists, like maybe they'll start putting out things that they think other people will enjoy, but what you're doing is like
Yeah,
actually coming from your heart and your like stories you've lived through. And that's what like really connects. And even as you were saying it too, it was like reminding me of my life. I grew up in like a very like town that was like heavily like Catholic influence. I even went to like a Catholic school too. And just what you were saying too, though, I those type of people exist, you know. It's it's
they do. They
it's
really
so
do.
much truth to that too. So I resonate to the meaning of that too, even though like when I listened to it, I was like kind of banging my head and was feeling the song, but now I love it on a different layer, you know, too, because
Oh,
it's
thank you.
real
Yeah.
shit, man.
Yeah, man. And it's cool because like we spent so long as a band, or at least I did at least like as a lyric writer, like trying to avoid saying anything that might like cause that divide. Like I was very careful. Like I didn't want to say anything like that like had any sort of like political undertone, whether it was like leaning in like any specific direction. I didn't want to like say anything bad about religion. Like I do like to make this distinction. Like I don't care what you believe, like at all. Like if you're Jewish, Christian, Muslim, whatever, like I don't care. Actually, to the contrary, like that's awesome. Like I respect what you believe. If you found like your peace and your happiness, I'm stoked for you.
Mhm,
Like, and like I'm not even like gonna look down and be like, you're wrong, you're wrong. Like it's not even about that for me. It's just you can have your beliefs and respect what other people believe. Once you're not able to do that, like that's where like I draw a line. That's not cool anymore.
mhm.
So like I I felt we were taking a risk, but I also felt like there would be like a high payoff because I knew like there's no way that I'm the only person that feels that way, right? Like there's no way.
Yeah, and yeah, it shows like you put that energy out there and you get all the feedback, and I think that's even cool. Even like I wasn't thinking until right now. I looked at my notes and it's like, oh yeah, the EP is called Dear God too.
Yeah.
So it's like almost, I guess the way I'm taking it right now, almost like a letter to those type of people in a way.
Yeah, well, it is. And there's a song on there called Lord and Savior too. I think that's maybe the most like abrasive one because or the one I'm expecting the most backlash on because in the chorus, like the big like shout line is like "fuck your Lord and Savior."
Yeah, that's
I know
awesome.
that's gonna be
Yeah.
yeah.
Kind of tapping into like Slayer, God hates us all.
We
Things.
played it. We played it a couple times. I think that's the one we played the least.
Yeah.
But there was one time where we played it, and some guy came to me after. He's like, "I can't believe you said that. That's nuts." And I'm like,
Yeah. Hey, that's art. You
"Oh,
know, that's cool, man. That's wicked, man. Yeah, I'm really excited to hear this whole EP, which for
thank you,
people,
man."
it's coming out on May 31st if they're
Yeah.
intrigued. And I guess like as a final question, if I see like you're growing as like an artist and everything. And I notice like a lot of people listen to these segments, they are like kind of aspiring creators and stuff like that. So
Totally.
maybe if somebody was listening to this and maybe they got all like these big ideas like in music and maybe they're just playing with their friends in the garage, like what would you have any like general advice to them to like maybe like take that next step to maybe like get out there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like the most obvious one, but like you gotta just do it. Like so many people are just scared and like fuck, like just do it. And like sometimes when you like ask for things, like you ask to like play a show or you ask like a venue if you can like obviously like within reason, like don't take no for an answer. Like if you're talking to a promoter, like, oh, that date doesn't work. Okay, so then say to him, like say to him or her, like, what day does work, right? Like those kind of things. Like you gotta push for what you want. And if you want to do it, you gotta do it. Because especially like I know this is a bleak thing to say, but it is unfortunately true. Like the industry favors younger artists. You know, like I've heard this from I've heard this from promoters like higher up promoters. Like I'm not going to name any names or anything, but like I've heard like when we've gotten on those like local support shows, oh, we put Napoleon because they're young,
Mhm.
and I've always asked why, and they're like, oh well, you know, a band of guys in their 50s doesn't really have prospects,
Mm, yeah.
and you know, it's shitty because I don't love that, but you also can't change what it is. So if that's something that you really want to do, you have a finite amount of time to do it, and you really shouldn't waste it. So
Hmm.
like, I really just say like if that's something you want to do, just go for it because you never know what's gonna come of it.
Yeah, that's sound advice too. And I also feel like sometimes people they want to go for it, but they just don't go for it because they're overthinking anxieties too. And it's
Yeah.
almost
Oh,
like,
dude, I did that for so long. I
yeah,
mean, I still do
same,
that. Like, yeah, I
same.
still do that with our band all the time. It's like, you
Hmm.
know, do we go tour there? Do we go play this show? Do we write this song? Like, man, like there was a point where like I was if we're like going back like to the lyrics and how like I was worried about the divide. There was a point where like I was talking like to our manager about it, and I was like, I'm actually really scared to do this. Like, I don't think this is a good idea. And he's like, well, what do you want to do? I was like, I think we should scrap it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like
Just like
there
the
was a point
internal.
there where like, I was like really thinking like, is this actually something I want to do? And
Hmm.
he's like, well, I don't think you should scrap the song. So if you want to change the lyrics, we can talk about that. But and there was like really was a point there I was gonna go and like re-record all the words. I think I even booked like the time in the studio to go and like
Oh
reach.
wow.
And I
Yeah,
do
that's
have
so
like all.
interesting.
I think the only one I was gonna leave was Help Me, and then because I just really wanted to have that one, but I was gonna change the lyrics for Lord and Savior and Heartless, and yeah,
Yeah, well, I'm happy you kind of stuck with it too. I
me too,
feel
man. You know,
Yeah, I feel like it's natural for creatives to be overthinkers, you know, and it's both like a positive and a negative, you know, the double-edged sword type thing where it's like your greatest superpower, but you can also like hinder yourself by being like just getting too deep into your head about like things and stuff. So I'm
yeah,
glad you said fuck it too. And there's actually a famous speech from Ice-T, and I listen to it like once a year when I remember. And it's just if you just type in Ice-T fucking on YouTube, it's basically just what you said as advice too. It's just like getting out there. He's like, you just gotta say fuck it. He's like, you know, fuck it got me my wife, fuck it got me my record label. And like it's all
yeah,
talking about like overthinking, but like just in like a positive, but also like this awesome, aggressive, like hip hop way. So like I might even put a clip of that at the end of this
yeah.
interview. But awesome, awesome. Yeah, we'll keep in touch and everything. But yeah, it was really great talking to you, and I hope you have a great day, man.
You too, my friend. A pleasure.
Yeah, cheers, brother.
Cheers,
Take
man. Stay
care.
in touch.
There's certain people that are always going to push the limit and fuck it get you across that line that ability to push past the rules. A lot of people like it safe, you know. You don't get credit for being safe in life, you know. Oh, you're safe. Even I'm watching American Idol and they're like, that was a safe song. You didn't take any risks. Well, to take risks, you got to go fuck it, you know. Most men who met their wives, it was a fuck it before they walked up to her. It was that moment where she won't talk to me, but fuck it. I got to just take the risk, put myself past what I normally would do. And there's certain people in life, like you say, Hunter Thompson, that live in that realm of the edge, and everything else is boring. Other people are like, how do you do it? I cannot. You know, you see mountain climbers. Those mountain climbers are saying, fuck it. It can hurt you or it can harm you. You could say fuck it and kill yourself. You could say fuck it and ruin your life. You could gamble too much and put it. It's that edge. But in that edge, which is so dangerous and so profitable on the other side, is where creation lives. It's where it all happens, you know, whether it's a Donald Trump taking that risk on that thing or you making a mistake and driving too fast and killing yourself. That point where it happens, that's where everything happens. If you don't ever go there, you just live a different kind of a life. Some people need it.
Thanks once again to John. Like we mentioned, Napoleon, the EP, Dear God, is out right now. You can check it out streaming everywhere. If you want to support the band, check out their Bandcamp, throw them a couple bucks. Let them know you appreciate it, and continue to support artists who are just putting out their truth. I love when you get to come across such a strong piece like this that has some meaning, a message, and that feeling of going against the grain. So shout out to John and all the boys in Napoleon. And also, like always, before we go, we can't run away without thanking all you legends on the Patreon page. First up, the biggest thanks to Mike Carniello of the Testing with Mike YouTube channel. If you're into electronics, technology, how they work, and most importantly, how to fix them, check out Testing with Mike on YouTube. Another big thanks to Amanda McKnight. Amanda McKnight also has her very own YouTube channel that celebrates comic books, movies, video games, and all things nerdy. Beyond that, she's a wonderful vibe. Type in Amanda McKnight on YouTube and hit the subscribe button. Another huge thanks to the lovely Jenny Potter, the legend Devin McBride, back-to-back double impact Allens, the #1 gent Alan Kent, and bigwig Alan Briggs. And biggest thanks, and last but not least, Francis Coffer, aka my mom. If you want to support the show and also get these episodes early, raw, uncut, right when I'm done the Zoom call, I just post them. You can go to patreon.com/thecreativeimbalance. And beyond having my forever thanks, you can just go to bed at night and sleep soundly, knowing you're a badass motherfucker who supports raw, uncut, independent media. And nobody can take that away from you. You hear me? With that being said, we got more episodes coming your way. Actually locked in some huge ones yesterday I can't wait to share with you. And we'll catch you next time. Ciao.